Hi friends, my name is Maddie and welcome to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I'm going to be going over all the books that I read in the month of December. My reading month in December was kind of all over the place. I read some really great books. I had quite a few disappointments, and then I hit a massive reading slump after reading Manacled. So let's go ahead and get started. The first books I picked up in the month of December was A Kingdom of Venom and Vows. This is the third book in this series. This pretty much concludes Adara's and Evren's story, and they kind of get their happily ever after. The fourth book is supposed to be about another couple in the series, so I'm excited to see where it picks up. Overall, as a series, I think this is a great, quick fantasy romance read. I feel like it's also pretty good for beginners. It's pretty short. All of the books are relatively like no more than 300 pages. This one I think is the weakest of the three books. I feel like the first two are really strong. Everything wraps up pretty fast in this one, and it floats between a couple of different POVs, not just the main couple in this one. So because of that, I feel like it was just a little bit all over the place, but I do think it sets up nicely for the next couple, like I mentioned. So the next book I read in the month of December was Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I've kind of gotten used to Pierce Brown's writing style, where he has this huge montage of like a fighting scene right at the beginning and then things slow down a lot. I do feel like because of this, it does make the complicated relationships worthwhile. I wrote down that Red God's supposed to be released in 2024. I don't think it is, but when it does come out, it will be one of my most anticipated releases. So we'll see how that goes. The next book I ended up picking up was Tempted by Deception by Rena Kent. I ended up giving this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is the second book in the Deception trilogy. This has a bit of a time skip. It jumps back to when Leah and Adrian first met. I am honestly kind of impressed how Rena Kent has managed to pull off this giant time skip and like make everything fit the way it has fitted. And you see kind of how this other girl, Winter, comes into play. So it's been super interesting, and I have finished the trilogy since then, but I'll save my thoughts for my January wrap up. But everything at this point has started to come together, and who doesn't love a good toxic relationship, because that's exactly what this is. Next up, I picked up Ashes of Chaos by Amelia Hutchison. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. Again, this one's just so chaotic and such a fun read. It's all over the place. It's very it's crazy, and I don't know what more to say about it. The male main character is like super possessive, and the female main character wants like nothing to do with him, and whether like there's this attraction between. It's so fun. I have such a good time reading it, even though it is literally insane. The next book I ended up reading was Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I ended up giving this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really like this one. I think it was executed really well, and I think this might be one of my favorite second chance romances of all times. Ooh, and I don't really care for those, so that's points to them. So this one is told in 2 different timelines. It is told in the present and then 15 years ago. What I like the most about this book is that it doesn't switch back and forth. It's told in 3 parts. So the first and third part are told in the present, and then the middle part is told what happened 15 years ago to explain how the characters got to where they are. So I thought that was really interesting. Not many time skip books are like that, or normally authors will throw like random flashbacks in. So I really appreciate the author for doing that, because I hate books that do that. Basically though, this is about Matt and Grace. Matt and Grace had gone to college together, and they fell out of touch. They were in love, and something happened and they're separated. So you're following, in the present, you're following Matt mostly, who is recently divorced, and he's kind of struggling, just trying to figure out the meaning of life. He has to work with his ex-wife and work with her new husband, who she's now pregnant by him. So it's a bit of a crazy time for him, and he runs into Grace on the subway and the doors close before he can say anything. So he reaches out and tries to, like, on Craigslist, on like a missed meetings ad or whatever it was back in like, I don't know, 2010, whatever. So then of course you figure out that Grace is Matt's ex-girlfriend in college in the middle part, and then everything that happens after. The thing that I kind of liked about this book but kind of didn't like is that the characters don't make the best choices, and I don't know if I like it, because it kind of shows how like real love is, and like sometimes we don't always make the best decisions, and you know, it felt very real in some aspects, but in other times it's kind of like, have some common decency, you know what I mean? Then again, like on the other hand, this does mainly happen in a time before technology, so I think it just kind of goes to show how love is like messy and complicated and complex. The next book I picked up actually really blew me away. It was The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barr, and I ended up giving this one 4.5 out of 5 stars as well. This book is about Cassie, who is really good at reading people, and she gets recruited by the FBI to work on a like undercover underground project where a bunch of teenagers who are really good at like profiling and everything like that, and they solve cold cases. Basically, throughout the plot, a new killer is on the run, and Cassie has to kind of try to figure out how this is connected to her and potentially her mother's death. The agents are trying to keep her away from it, but obviously that doesn't happen. She gets involved and all the other characters get involved, and I really like the dynamic between all of the Naturals. There's like 6 or 7 of them, I think. And some of them are like really good at lying, so you don't know when they're telling the truth, and some of them are really good at like reading each other, so you know when other characters are lying. So it's really just an interesting concept, interesting dynamic between all the characters, and I'm really excited to continue the series. Up next, I ended up reading King of Pride by Anna Huang, which I ended up giving 4 out of 5 stars to. I did enjoy this book. I didn't enjoy it as much as King of Wrath, but I think this dynamic was really refreshing and very different for Anna Huang. This is about Kai and Isabella. Kai works for his family's company. He's on track to be CEO, and so he's very controlling, he's very type A. On the other hand, Isabella is a carefree author. She kind of goes with the flow. So I think the dynamic between the two complements each other super well. Additionally, Kai is a member at a club that Isabella works at, and because he is a member and she works there, they're not allowed to be together. So there's this bit of this like forbidden romance, if you will. But it wasn't like a super big deal. Like, it didn't feel super forbidden. I really like this one, and I cannot wait to get my hands on a copy of King of Greed. Up next, I ended up reading Shadow's Edge by Brent Weeks. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the continuation of the Night Angel series. I really liked Viv and Kyler's relationship, and Kyler trying to be normal, but things keep popping up that like he can't be normal. He wants to go back to his instincts of like being an assassin. This does end on a massive cliffhanger, and I am so ready to pick up a copy of the 3rd book when I get a chance. Okay, up next I have one that I'm really upset about. And just talking about it makes me angry. I just like seethed quietly in the corner. I read Caution to the Wind by Gianna Darling. I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. I hated this book. Oh my god. Honestly, I might drop it down to 1 star, truthfully. I just got the biggest ick from this book. They kept referring to the tattoo machine as a tattoo gun, and it's not a tattoo gun. She's Canadian, so maybe it's different in Canada, but it just... I hate when things are called the wrong things, and like not in a, you know, not in a pavement versus sidewalk way, but in like a that's just wrong way. So I just felt like this book was just poorly edited. Once I saw that mistake, I just kept seeing other mistakes that just kept popping up, and it just felt like it wasn't edited enough. It, to me, is really weird. She had like 2 years since she announced this book, which means she should have had plenty of time to edit this book. It definitely was one of my most disappointing reads in 2023. Can't get behind the characters. Axeman hated May for like 0 reason at all. I did not like May's character at all. The Fallen girls were really mean girl coded, which felt so out of the ordinary for them. On top of that, Axeman jumped really fast from like hating May to like loving her all of a sudden. So there was no like real build up. I just really, truthfully, I really just didn't understand their dynamic at all. And I feel like Gianna Darling has left so many unanswered plot holes in this series because she's not writing books about the characters that are like important to the plot. Like, this just feels like it should have been a 100-page novella and we moved on with our lives. But hands down, this book needed more development, plot-wise, character-wise, everything-wise, because it just was not... We could have done better, truthfully. Up next, I had Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. This is about 2 camp counselors, and one parent is like has nothing to do with them because they're rich, and the other parent has nothing to do with them because they have like issues. I will probably continue with the next book in this series. I think I like her writing. I just don't think I'm a huge fan of Hannah Grace, if I'm honest. I mean, I like the story, but it wasn't anything like amazing, you know what I mean? Then I read See You Soon by Lexi Axelton. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars, and then I very quickly DNF'd the next book in this series. This is a dark military romance. Ari, who's the female main character, is a trauma nurse after her brother dies. He's like a SEAL or something. And she meets Danny, who used to work with his brother, and there's some weird mysterious reason why the brother died, and she's kind of trying to figure that out, and Danny's trying to like keep her safe. I'm not a huge military romance fan. My husband's in the Marine Corps, so that just doesn't go well. Then I read Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. This is the last book in the Skyward series, and it was so emotional and just very impactful, and I really had a great time reading it. This is Brandon Sanderson's YA sci-fi series, and of course it ends with a note saying this world will continue in Skyfall Legacy. So I have that to look forward to. Who knows when it's going to come out, but I do love Brandon Sanderson. I really enjoyed Spensa and her dynamic with her community and her peers in her flight school, especially because she is so outcasted and not really accepted by society because of things her father has done. And I just feel like Brandon Sanderson always just sticks the landing, so this one definitely was not a disappointment. I'm very excited for his spin-off series. Got it ended on a bang, and I read A Court of Wings and Ruin and Court of Silver Flames. I ended up getting to Silver Flames, which is awesome. So I didn't really think I would get to it in time. These are just awesome. I really love Court of Wings and Runes, one of my favorite Sarah J. Maas books, period, end of story. As much as I love Nesta and I do really like this book, I wish there had been more plot in this one. It is so very focused on character development, and you don't often see that in Sarah J. Maas books. You don't really get a whole lot of like solely character development on one character. Like sometimes you'll get the character development and plot. This one's just really lacking in plot for me, and I wish we get more. We get Crescent City 3 soon, so I'm hoping that'll kind of like just like we move along, you know what I mean? But overall I have a really great time reading these two. I ended up giving them both 5 stars, and I'm very excited for Crescent City 3. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you like my video, please feel free to like and subscribe and hang out and talk to me more about books. And please let me know what your favorite book in December was. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye!